Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for our first daily dose of Ravnica Remastered spoilers. So Ravnica Remastered comes out in the middle of January. Apparently we're getting the whole set spoiled in the next 2 days. The good news is, it's a reprint set, so these are all cards that we know and love. So our preview video today is going to be a little bit different. There's not a whole lot of sense in me telling you what these cards do like we would for brand new cards we've never seen before, or where they could go, or stuff like that. Like, you know that Cyclonic Rift is good in Commander, or that Shocklands are some of the best lands in the game. So instead, today we're going to tier rank the cards based on the value. So the goal is going to be to figure out, is it worth buying this set? Should you crack a box? Should you pick up singles? What exciting reprints should you be looking out for? Maybe if prices drop, you can snag some of them for your Commander deck. Also, we'll talk about the new treatments coming in this set. There's some pretty sweet ones. So anyway, let's jump into our tier list, but before we do, 2 quick reminders. First, to keep up on all the latest previews throughout the day, you should head on over to MTGpreviews.com. Number 2, if you need some of these cards, you can pre-order them from our sponsor Card Kingdom over at cardkingdom.com/MTGGoldfish. Anyway, let's talk Ravnica Remastered. So we kick things off today in a very special tier, the Shockland tier. So I thought about putting the Shocklands on the tier list proper, but it makes more sense just to talk about them all together, because really they're the most important cards in this set. So Shocklands are some of the most important lands in literally all of Magic. They form the foundation of mana bases in Pioneer, in Modern, in Commander, and everyone needs them. And these are cards that used to be like $30, $40 a copy. They got reprinted a few times, dropped to like $20 a copy. They're currently right around $10 a copy, give or take depending on the Shockland, but somewhere in that range, which would mean they would be like high Bs or low As on our tier list proper. But really, Shocklands are so in demand, and so many people need them, and they're so important to mana bases, that this is a really great reprinting. They're cards that Wizards needs to keep reprinting constantly to keep the prices in line, because if you stop reprinting them, the prices are going to snowball because of the demand. And these are cards that I would be thrilled if we ever get like $5 Shocklands, or even, you know, $1 Shocklands. That would be awesome, because it's really frustrating to have to spend a ton of money on your mana base. So seeing more Shocklands returning with their original art, super sweet. We also have 2 variants on Shocklands. So we get Old Border Shocklands for the first time ever, and I expect these cards to be really expensive. Some players really love Old Border and are willing to pay a little bit more. The Shocks look really nice in Old Border, so I expect these to be some of the most in-demand cards from Ravnica Remastered. We also got another borderless version of the Shocklands, which for me, like, they're fine. I don't dislike them, I guess, but we've just had a whole bunch of similar special versions of Shocklands. We had the Infinity Shocklands, we had a Secret Lair Shockland, we've had multiple Zendikar Masterpiece Shocklands. So if you want some sort of like fancy borderless shock, there's a lot of different options. So I think Old Border Shocks are the big winner here, but really, I'm just happy to see more Shocklands, because the cheaper these cards get, the better it is for players. Moving on to the tier list proper, we got 2 cards in S tier today, which are cards that are $25 or more. Burvac the Grand Eloquent, which is originally a Jumpstart card, but apparently from Ravnica, and then Cyclonic Rift getting another reprint this year with new art. We've seen so many Cyclonic Rifts. I will say, a little disappointed to see Cyclonic Rift bumped up to Mythic for the first time. Oh, boy, to me this kind of screams greed, honestly. So I think there's 2 factors here. So for one thing, if you look through Ravnica, there's just not a ton of like super high value cards that would make sense as Mythics. So Wizard probably has some slim pickings on what to put in Mythic in this set. The other thing is, it's an expensive Commander staple, and Wizards is kind of incentivized to like keep the price high, although they do reprint Cyclonic Rift all the time. But I just hope this isn't a trend moving forward. If Cyclonic Rift being Mythic in this set in specific is just a one-off to make the numbers work for Ravnica Remastered, I can deal with that. But if we see Cyclonic Rift is a Mythic moving forward, that would be pretty scary. Like, we've got a lot of reprints of it recently, but if it starts to dry up and it starts to be a Mythic only card, we could see the price of Cyclonic Rift start to climb again, which would be a bad thing, because that's one of those cards that, like, no matter how many times Wizards reprints it, it's always like $30 because every blue commander deck wants it. Burvek, on the other hand, is like $35, but it is going to crash hard because it has pretty minimal demand, and the main reason it's expensive is, well, casual players love Mill, but also it's from Jumpstart, so it's just a pretty low supply set. So I think that one will come down a lot. Cyclonic Rift, especially at Mythic, probably not going to do much for the price at all. Moving into the A tier, which is $10 to $25 cards. 4 cards. Guardian Project, Lord of the Void, Yudvara Hellkite, Cryptcast, and honestly, these are all in the, like, B end of the A tier. They're all, like, just over $10, $10 to $15, give or take. So these are all fine cards. Guardian Project, again, much like Cyclonic Rift, kinda disappointed to see this randomly bumped up to Mythic. All I can figure, like I said before, is Wizards just doesn't have enough cards to put it Mythic, but really nothing about Guardian Project, even in the tiniest, is a Mythic. It's not, like, big and flashy. It doesn't do some spectacular thing. It's not some huge shimmy creature. It's just like a semi-expensive good commander card that draws you cards. It's like Phyrexian Arena being Mythic or something. It's just silly to have this card at Mythic, so little disappointed to see that. Otherwise, Lord of the Void sees some playing Demon Commander decks. Yudvara Hellkite, Dragon's always more expensive than you think, and Cryptcast, one of the best black cards in Commander, thanks to its ability to double your mana. Moving into the B tier, $5 to $10 cards. We got a bunch of stuff here. A Spark Double recently jumped up a ton in price because of the Quintorius combo deck, Mizzix Mastery, Illusionist Bracers, mostly Commander cards, Divine Visitation. I'm actually kind of surprised this card is so expensive. I never see anyone play Divine Visitation, but it's almost $10. Life from the Loam sees a lot of play in Modern and Legacy. Rakdos Order Riot's a pretty popular commander. So these are all cards that are solid if unspectacular opens. Like if you crack one of these, you're not going to be disappointed, but it's also not a home run either. Moving into the C tier, the just above bulk tier, we have a Mythic here in Master of Cruelties. And Master of Cruelties, it's such a cool card, and I love the card, but definitely not going to be excited to open it as my Mythic in one of these somewhat expensive packs. Niv Mizzet Perun, honestly, I could see an argument for bumping Niv up to Mythic. Niv is like kind of a ridiculously busted card in Commander. Stitch in Time, Blind Obedience, kind of just rounding out the tier. And then we have the bulk tier. The bulk tier, 2 Mythics in it already, so we have as many bulk Mythics as we do S tier Mythics today. A really exemplar Justice, Gideon Blackblade, and then just a ton of rares. Some of them are like somewhat playable, like Cindervine sees some sideboard play. Dreadboard used to be good, but it's kind of been power crept out of the format. But really, this is kind of just the rounding out the limited format cards. We also have a bunch of variants, and honestly, looking at this set, I think the variance is gonna be where the money is in this set. So I think the base versions of these cards that we've been talking about, their prices should come down a ton because of these reprintings. For maybe not the ones that are like Mythics, like Cyclonic Rift, but really a lot of these cards I think are going to really crash in price. On the other hand, I think the money is going to be in these specific variants. So one variant is Borderless, and it's anime influenced again, and we've seen in the past, whenever Wizards does anime cards, people just like go crazy for them. You got people like me who love Old Border and will pay more for Old Border, and then you got people like Crib who just love anime and will pay more for anime. So I think Wizards like kind of nailed it with the variants in this set. You got Old Border for the people who love that, and then you got anime stuff for the people who love anime, and they all look really sweet. So the Old Border cards are using the same art as the set version of the card. So a lot of it's going to be old art. Some of it, like Cyclonic Rift, is the new art, but it's like the base version art. So whatever the base version art is, you get the Old Border stuck on it. And then for the anime cards, of course, you get sweet new anime art. So if anime is your thing, you can get like a super flashy Cyclonic Rift, a kind of anime Niv or whatever. So super sweet to see all these variants. So finally today, we got a bunch of random commons and uncommons. It looks like Signets are coming back, some Charms, Farseek. Honestly, nothing has any value here. Like, Utopia's Brawl used to be worth something, but it's got reprinted a bunch, so it's not worth anything anymore. So nothing good value-wise, but some fun cards that are pretty playable in Commander at a minimum, some modern stuff as well. So, of course, like usual, you can head over and check them all out over at mtgpreviews.com. Anyway, that brings us to the end of our daily Ravnica Remastered spoilers for today. So, super curious what you think about this set. Shockland, super exciting, anime, old border, prices kinda high. I was looking around and it seems like boxes are like 170 to 200, which is kind of a lot. Is it gonna be worth it to snag boxes? Do you get singles, hoping prices drop? Let me know what you think about Ravnica Remastered in the comments. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back tomorrow with one more dose of Ravnica Remastered spoilers. Until then, have an amazing day, and I will talk to you soon. Looking for even more magic? Well, check out the video about the first ever meme in Magic in Throat Wolf, or maybe the one where I explain the MTG iceberg.